Welcome to Yogaxpress, your virtual stretch clinic that helps you move the body to still the mind. My name is Banu Suresh. I'm your host for this program. Today we have, at popular request, an amazing special guest. All our guests are very special and all our special guests are amazing, but today's experience, I think, is going to take you through a totally different journey. We have someone, a multi-dimensional personality, Mona Chopra, to my right. Mona, I'm going to be your student today, and I would love to experience what you have to share as a yoga therapist. I know you're an acupuncturist. You are also a hypnotherapist. Both of those roles you have shared with us in previous episodes. Today I'm looking forward to being your student with you as a yoga therapist. So while you're taking me in and out of postures, help me understand, and through me, our viewers will understand what good these postures are doing for us. Works for you? I know you have a lot of things planned for us, and I'm really excited about today. Mona, a little more about yourself. I know you've been here before, and you've talked about yourself, but every time we have new viewers. So can you tell me, I know you have a fourth dimension, birth doula. Now that's a role that you cannot, obviously, it's very hard for you to, demonstrate on air. But can you tell us a little more about your role as a birth doula and also about the rest of you?
Sure. Well, thank you so much. It's so good to be back. It's always good to be here. So as a birth doula, I actually combine my roles really as acupuncturist, as hypnotherapist, and in the capacity as a doula, which is basically supporting a woman through the process of labor and delivery.
Right.
So in that process, my background as an acupuncturist comes into play, helping to keep labor flowing smoothly, to help with pain relief,
right.
And hypnotherapy too. Maybe many of the viewers may have heard about hypnobabies, hypnobirthing. These are just programs for using hypnosis to help deal with the process of
hypnobaby? What's that?
These are just sort of different people have developed their methodologies for using hypnosis during childbirth.
So the baby comes all glazed?
It's for the mom, really.
Oh, for the mom.
So the
okay.
mom is in a hypnotic state during
so
that
they don't
process,
think of the pain.
and exactly, and is able to go through it without thinking of it as pain, without thinking of it as labor
right.
per se, without thinking of it as a contraction. Even the words used are different. It's just
right.
sensation. It's just pressure. It's just pressure waves that are bringing your baby
wow.
into the world. So
I'm about 30 years late. I wish I could have experienced that.
It's pretty radical. But yeah, so in my as a birth doula, those are I just bring in those other tools
right.
into the
So you're also a licensed acupuncturist. Do you have your own clinic somewhere?
I do. I practice here in the city on East 37th Street,
okay.
And that's where I work as an acupuncturist and also do one-on-one yoga, therapeutic yoga.
Right there in your clinic. Actually, I did visit your clinic with another friend of mine. For those of you who want to get in touch with Mona, her credits are at the bottom left. Visit her. It's on Lexington, right?
It's on 37th between Lex and Park.
On 37th Street between Lexington and Park. And what's the number again? 178?
118.
118. Where did I get 178? 118
East 37th.
East 37th Street between Lexington and Park. Visit Mona. And it's not... There's something about Mona and her clinic that is so soothing. You really have to go there to experience it. I did visit you about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I can tell you, Mona, that experience is still embedded in my brain. It was so relaxing. I came there to help a friend.
Yeah.
But I think I got my own little workout, my own little calming workout right there. Just being there was amazing. It was a beautiful setup. I think all viewers should go and visit Mona there. Even if you just want to experience the ambience, it's definitely worth a visit. Mona, I know you have something very exciting planned for me today. Before I go ahead and share my experience with Mona, with my Mona's experience with my viewers, I'd like to thank our crew today. Josiane Hurd is our director, and you've met Josiane. We have Catherine Fitzpatrick. Catherine, I hope I got your last name right. Catherine is assisting Josiane in the control room. Deshaun Pretlow, responsible for the studio lights, the gobo setups, and we have George Sotrelis, also assisting Josiane and Catherine in the control room. Thank you so much for the great teamwork out there. Mona, I'm all yours. Oh, not yet. Give me another minute. A little bit of housekeeping. For those of you out there who would like to come and stretch with us on the show, we will share with you a copy of my third title, Yoga Secrets, which is nothing compared to what Mona is going to share with us today. But for whatever it's worth, it's got about 2 + 8 ailment-specific cards, just isolating postures that are good for the upper body, lower body, the knees, lower abdomen, whichever part of the body needs a little bit of a workout. You'll find some of it over there. So hopefully it's going to help you. We'll also share with you a postcard with 48 simple stretches. And if you want to come and stretch with us, we will accommodate you as long as you can just let us know about a day ahead that you're coming. It is a walk-in show, but every now and then we like to know who's walking in. It's nice to know that I have about 3 or 4 people on the mat so we can be prepared for you. Yoga Express airs Monday through Friday on Time Warner 57, RCN 84, and FiOS 35 at 1:30 in the afternoon. We also have a website, www.yogaexpress.com. So visit us online through my website, online at mnn.org. That's Manhattan Neighborhood Network, which is where we tape these episodes. You could go to mnn.org and then type in Yoga Express, YOGAXPRESS.com. Mona, I am at your disposal.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to this adventure.
Well, Banu, it's such an honor to be here sharing yoga since you are the yoga woman. So.
Well, no, I'm just one of the many teachers, so I'm looking forward to this experience.
Okay. Well, first I did just want to say a little bit about the approach that I studied, since there are so many different styles and approaches
Techniques,
to yoga, techniques, exactly. So my background actually in yoga, it came before any of the other things that I do professionally. I was first introduced to yoga when I was 7 years old.
Wow.
In a summer camp where we were made to do Asana salutations and yoga practice every morning. And I think most of the kids kind of hated it, but because I was really sort of physical and I liked to dance and gymnastics, I really enjoyed it. So I sort of had a very positive idea of like this thing called Hatha Yoga. But then it wasn't until I was really an adult, even after college, that I got really back into yoga and began to study it on a deeper level.
Right.
And then it was in my early 20s that I went to India and studied in the tradition of TKV Desikachar,
Right.
who is the son of Krishnamacharya, who was one of the great masters of yoga, who also taught Pattabhi Jois, who developed the Ashtanga, as you know, of course, who was also the teacher of B.K.S. Iyengar, and then he taught his son. So it's that lineage that what I am sharing today comes from. So I always just like to give thanks and honor to Sir Desikachar, his son Kaustubh Desikachar, who I've studied from, and then the teachers in New York, or in the U.S., I should say, Dolphy Wertenbaker, Leslie Kaminoff, Gary Krafso, that I've also studied with, so that a lot of
Leslie
what I've learned.
Kaminoff has the book Anatomy of Yoga, right?
Exactly.
That's an amazing book,
He's become the anatomy guy. Gary Krafso has Yoga for Wellness and Yoga for Transformation. Dolphy Wertenbaker works here and teaches in New York. So I just always like to give thanks.
I think that's wonderful. You are sharing so much wealth that you have received from all of these teachers as well. I just have to make one little observation. Very important one, though. It's amazing how the greatest teachers and masters are guys, and yet we have very few guys who come and stretch with us on the mat.
It's true.
We need to change that. We need to change that.
I agree. It's. I think, I don't know what you would say in India, but in the U.S. it's become such a reputation as a female thing.
It is. And in India, actually, the guys do practice. They have their the pranayama practice,
Yes.
some of the chanting.
Yes.
Some chants are done only by the guys, and for religious purposes. And you know how, I don't know if you're aware, I don't don't know if you've lived very long in India. You sound like you were probably brought up in the US.
Yes.
And you just visit once in a while. I was brought up mostly in India, and I noticed that it's just part of everyday life for people to do their pranayam, to do what we call Sandhya Vandanam in Tamil. But basically their prayers every morning and evening, and all the breathing is incorporated into it. Some of the best teachers are guys, and the practitioners, many of them are guys as well. But yes, in North America and the rest of the world, it's mostly the women. I really don't know why. I have no knowledge where this came from, but women seem to find more time for yoga. It's possible because it's so gentle that we take to it more easily. But it can be intense if people want it to be. That's right. People start sweating after the sun salutations.
That's right. Sun salutations are pretty intense.
That's right. They can be.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm ready.
Great. So just to give a brief, I won't talk too much, but a brief overview of the major principles of the practice of this style or approach to yoga. So one is coordination of movement with the breath, right? So no movement is done just as a movement. There's always a focus, and the emphasis, in fact, is on what's happening with the breath.
Right.
So the movement is there, but the focus is on what are you doing with the breath. Even in a posture, how can you play with the breath to change the effects of the posture?
Right.
That's one. And two is repetition of postures. So there's a lot of focus in this tradition on moving in and out of the posture several times first before you actually stay.
Right.
So part of the reason for that is because we're becoming more and more aware of ourselves. So if we can sort of see how we move in and out again and again, it's noticing our habits, noticing our patterns, and then the idea is if we then sort of correct it or shift it by repeating it, it's like repeating any other kind of habit, it becomes more part of the neuromuscular patterning of the body if we repeat it, whereas holding has those deep physiological, deep emotional effects. This way of like changing how we move even in our daily life really comes from the repetition.
So what you're saying is we hold it after we believe we're close to the perfect state, or the better state, or whatever.
Well, I only hesitate to say perfect and better because of my training that, it's not about that, but it's preparing the body.
Right.
It's exactly. So when the body's prepared to hold. Exactly. Yeah. It'll be much more, things will, the muscles, everything will be much more prepared to hold at that point.
Right. Because holding is a tougher part, right? Moving is a little easier than holding the posture.
Yes, it can be, but we'll see how it goes. Sometimes moving has its own challenges, right? Because you're engaging the muscles in a certain way on the movement too. So and of course, in some ways, we're moving on, even when we're still. Because as we stay in the posture, it's never static. It's actually, we continue to breathe, go deeper, all of that. So, and then just from this tradition, there's a lot of focus on how you sequence the postures and adapting the postures to meet the needs of the individual rather than, having people try to fit into the sort of pictures of what the posture is supposed to look like, but more what is the effect you're trying to get and then working with that person.
Okay,
so let's get
your
started.
student is ready, my dear.
All right, so let's start laying on our back.
Keep our heads to the camera.
Okay, great. And we're going to start with really very simple posture, so you can have the knees bent.
I'm so accustomed to starting with a standing posture. This is very Egyptian. Egyptian yoga, they have yoga in Egypt as well.
Okay.
They start in supine position. From the mummy position, it rises into life.
Fascinating. Wow. Yeah, I thought, well, sometimes, perhaps this would be an appropriate practice before you go to bed at night. This would be appropriate if you just woke up in the morning and before you get into the more invigorating ones, you start standing. So just bring your heels and feet up off the ground and take hold of each knee with each hand. So it's like one hand holding each knee like here. And we're going to simply start by...
Are my feet off the ground? Oh,
your feet are off the ground.
Yep. Okay.
And the ankles are just relaxed.
Relaxed.
Totally relaxed. And soft. And breathe in here. So you're inhaling here. And then exhaling, bending the elbows, bringing the knees in towards the chest.
Exactly. And if the viewers are familiar with the Ujjayi breathing, that ocean-sounding breath, that's what you do here. And then inhale, straighten the elbows, let the legs float away. Exhale, bring them back in. And then we're going to continue to do this about 8 times. Banu, you had a question?
Did you sense it, or did you see me open my mouth? I was just going to say this. I could do this all day.
I must say that this is, probably the most just all encompassing therapeutic posture for all kinds of any kind of ailment, really, physical, emotional. It's so soothing. And so the idea here in these postures that we're going to start with is that we're just bringing our awareness, our total attentive conscious awareness to the sensations in the body, to the sensations in our breath, because this is our opportunity to just get to know what's happening in our body. So before we even begin to do things that, maybe we have a certain goal or purpose in mind, this is just the where am I at right now, getting to know you, getting to know me kind of way to begin. So just be aware if you notice there's any jerkiness when you're doing this, if you notice that you want to rush when you're doing it.
This movement goes so well with the music. Body music, folks, by the way, is by Cesar de Para, created just for us, for Yogaxpress. Opening ohms, which I forgot to mention, were from a track called Sapta Tandavam. Sorry, I had to fit that in.
That's great. I love the music.
It is soothing.
And of course, when you're doing any lying posture, any posture where you don't really need your balance, eyes can be closed. That just lets all the other, that just takes away that distraction from visual stimuli. So this posture, just to mention, as we're sitting here doing it, as I mentioned before, is so wide-ranging in terms of its therapeutic effects, but just to mention a few. So this is a very gentle way of warming up the spine, really good for the lower back. Also a gentle way of contracting the abdomen. As you notice, when you exhale and bring the legs in, the abdomen is contracting. So good for all disorders, diseases of the lower abdominal and pelvic area, because those areas are being squeezed on the exhale in a very gentle way. So there's no force involved at all. At the same time, this practice is so calming that for all kinds of anxiety disorders, insomnia, extremely beneficial. In fact, I've done this with children who have the diagnosis of ADHD, and it's been so
Wow, how did they react? Because it must be very difficult for them to stay calm.
So I will, we'll just adapt this with one simple adaptation, which is how I did it with the children. On the next exhale, Banu, instead of exhaling through the nose, as we've been doing, exhale with the sound of shh as the knees come in towards the chest.
That keeps them quiet.
So you'll notice what effect it may have by just and then inhale, let the legs float away. Exhale. And then this time just hold the legs in. You can even clasp your fingers together now this time. And we'll just stay here for a few breaths. Again, really good for the intestines, for the lower back. All kinds of menstrual disorders. One does this every day for the entire month, along with a few other simple postures. You can really see a difference in menstrual cramps.
That's interesting.
Just creating energy and movement in the lower region of the body. And then go ahead and release the left leg and clasp both hands just around the right and straighten out that left leg. And then bring that right leg a little closer in towards your body and notice the sensation of openness happening in the left hip. This is just opening, gently opening the hip on the left side, keeping the neck completely relaxed. And here we're just going to stay for one more breath. And then bend that left knee back up, bring that left knee in towards the chest again, switch hands, straighten out that right leg, opening up that right hip and pulling that left knee in towards the chest, keeping the shoulders relaxed, the elbows relaxed, the face relaxed, and just feel that gentle but significant opening in the right hip.
You know, after that 18-hour flight from India, I needed this stretch, especially in the right leg, because I was sort of sitting all weird in the aircraft trying to do my stretches in the seat. Wasn't comfortable.
This is a great one for that, when your legs have been bent for so long, just to open it up like this.
Especially when you fly El Cheapo the way I do.
Okay.
You don't have there's no leg room, no room to stretch.
That's right. And then bring that right knee back in. And then release both legs down and let your hands come alongside the body with the palms facing down. So just check and see that you feel comfortable. Your feet are about hip width apart. Your knees are pointed up towards the ceiling. And we're just going to do a few raises of the pelvis here in this position, keeping the palms facing the mat, pointed down. As you inhale, you're going to lift the pelvis up. You'll notice your chin come towards your chest. That's fine. Keeping the neck or cervical spine elongated. Exhale, lower down. And as you lower down in such a way that you're coming vertebra by vertebra, one vertebra at a time. You'll feel your legs doing some work, the musculature of your legs. You'll feel your abdomen, your back engaged. Lower.
What muscle am I using to bring my hips up?
Well, you're actually, part of it is the hip joint doing its work. Then you're using the muscles of that support the hip, the glutes.
Okay.
That's one big.
So just tighten my buttock muscles to raise my butt up.
Exactly. But notice what happens if you don't even consciously tighten the big buttock muscles. You'll actually be using your legs a little bit more, if you notice that.
Oh, okay.
And then
I'm
that
pressing
becomes
with my
more.
feet.
Exactly. You're pressing with your feet, using your legs a bit more, and then automatically the butt muscles are going to want to engage there to support the back in this posture. And exhale, coming down. And again, going vertebra by vertebra. It's the quality here, not so much how intensely high you can get up. And then again, on the way up, see how gradually you can come up as you inhale. And then coming down, starting with the upper back, the upper spine, coming through to the middle spine, the lower back, feeling the sacrum eventually touch the mat, and then everything relaxes. So just do this about 3 more times. So this posture too is incredibly beneficial for the lower back. Again, always wanting to sequence postures appropriately, but very, very important for the lower back. Also, as you can tell, the cervical spine gets stretched, or the neck gets stretched, so the gland there, the
Thanks for
thyroid
the clarification.
gland.
I was going to ask, what is a cervical spine?
Okay, sorry. Yes.
No, that's
the
fine.
neck.
That's good.
The neck. It's that acupuncture background. The neck. So therefore, the thyroid gland gets stimulated here.
Right.
And exhaling.
And the thyroid is good for balancing the weight, body weight, right?
That's
for
right. Thyroid.
Stabilizing body weight.
That's right. It is basically major controller of metabolism in the body.
Right.
How we feel energized, how we feel warm. And so excellent for all of that. And then on the next inhale, we're going to incorporate the arms. So you're going to inhale, raise the arms and the pelvis at the same time. Exhale, begin by lowering the arms, bringing the arms all the way for the fingers to point the ceiling, and then by the time your fingers are pointing towards the ceiling, let the rest of the back follow. So in concert, the back comes down and the arms come down. Again, vertebra by vertebra.
We'll have a couple of minutes.
Okay. And we'll just do that again. Inhale. And exhale, starting with the arms. And then let the body follow.
What is the reason for our body to start moving down only after the arms come midway?
Well, it's just part of it is just to time it so that it's coordinated well, because often otherwise then it's not in
Right, because you have a
coordination.
greter distance.
Exactly.
With the arms. Okay.
Exactly. And now you can go ahead and straighten your legs out. And just notice how your back feels right now. Notice the space between your lower back and the mat. Notice the space around the region of your shoulder blades and the mat. Notice the space between the neck and the mat. Just be aware of those spaces, of how your body feels. And then let's end with something a little bit more intense. So we're going to engage our abdominal muscles here in a big way. If you have any disc issues in your back, if you're concerned about your lower back in a serious way, there's a way to adapt this. I'll show it first the way without the adaptation. So inhale, raise your arms. Exhale, lower the arms as you raise your legs. With keeping the knees straight, if you're feeling okay. Inhale, raise the arms as you lower the legs.
You're right, it takes a lot of abdominal control.
Exactly. And then exhaling, lower the arms. Just the arms.
Oh.
So it's sort of like it's a little sequence there. And that's sort of
okay.
like that last step is just lowering the arms. And then you begin again. This time I'll show it in case you're having lower back issues. You can do this starting with bent knees. And on the way down, you can also bend your knees. That will take the pressure off of the lower back. Right. So inhale, raising the arms, both the arms to float up to rest on the mat behind. Exhale, straighten the legs as you lower the arms. And now here, if you're concerned about your lower back, as you inhale, bend the knees on the way down as you straighten the arms. And then you can elongate the legs and exhale.